like, nope, I take my boat out on the water and I eat bagels for breakfast.
Yeah, not bad. Thank God.
Sean, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Chris, are you recording already?
Yeah, we're going.
Uh, oh, oh. Let's get started then. Yeah.
Welcome to the Flip Side Podcast. Today we have a highly requested video for you guys. It is how to BS12, backside 1260 or whatever else you might know it as. And it is a very difficult trick. So I recorded a little exemplar for you guys so that we can look at it. Yeah, so if you're just doing audio only, I'm sorry, but we will, explain it. It might make sense to you, but if you can hop on the
Yes.
video, please do. These are all trampoline attempts. So yeah, but that's how I suggest learning it. Get a really tight trampoline. If you can learn it on there, that's going to be the best for you because you can crash. You can play with your vertical twisting. So right off the bat, we've got this question: why is backside 12 so hard?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really difficult one. It's definitely harder than like a double cork for sure. Like you see
Oh
people
yeah.
do
I
a
mean,
cheat 12, and that's a single leg double twisting trick. Why is that any harder than a double cork? It's just, it is. So yeah, Sean, maybe you can give us some of the science on
well, science. Okay. I've never heard you say exemplar before, so that was interesting. I'm assuming you mean just an example sampler, which was quite interesting. But
that. I think that's what they used to call tutorials before tutorials were the thing. It's like very old
that's
school terminology. Yeah.
that's gross. Okay. Anyway, um, so I mean, to me, vert spinning with your feet towards the ground is like surprisingly difficult. Like if you've ever worked on just like standing in place and jumping up and down and like trying to spin as many times as you can, the most I've ever gotten consistently is like 2.5, and that's
Really?
like standing, like no
Yeah.
bounces.
Right.
You stand and like puck a twist without flipping. It's really stupidly difficult. So I mean, knowing that, like even if you have a little bit of momentum going into it, staying up and down without your feet traveling too much and like wanting to go over your head to twist is like ridiculously hard for no
That's a
good.
really good point because if you're doing it standing, 2.5 is like that's like on the higher end. I do know trickers who can like standing quad twist and like they don't land it, but they're like standing triple or standing 3.5 and like they can quad and they kind of fall over. But it's like it's not easy to do to begin with, especially just from standing. It's insanely ridiculous. And when you have a flip involved, your body has a goal. So it's like I'm going from here to here. So there's a lot more that can go wrong and you can still complete it. Versus in this, you have to stay perfect. The goal is do not move, which is very difficult to do when you're doing 2.5 twists plus throwing a kick and chambering, and then potentially coming out of it with something else. So this a BS12 is 2.5 twists. So if you're standing and you're maxed out at 2.5, now you have to add in a chamber and a kick with a lean and potential transferring out of it.
Yeah, like
Extremely difficult.
that's just no.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And the idea of your feet just pointing straight at the floor, it doesn't sound that hard because you're like, oh, I just do nothing. But doing nothing is very difficult. It's so much
Especially
harder than doing something.
yeah, because it feels like they're naturally pulling up, so you almost have to fight the urge to like lift your knees to continue the flip, and you're just like, oh my god, this is so weird. How do I not do that? You're just like, you just don't.
That's especially true because you feel yourself starting to tilt and you've got a lot of arm action going on. And it's one thing to like jump up and come down, but once you're twisting a direction. You're not doing
Yeah,
nothing with the rest of your body. You're just trying to stay on the vertical axis. So you're twisting left, but you can't lean left. There's a lot going on, but we'll talk about that. Lean does exist. There's ways to play with it and all
yeah,
that. So let's get
Hey,
the
if you enjoy our content and you want to show some support, make sure you follow us on Spotify and Instagram. Our Instagram tag is the_flip_side_podcast. Just make sure to go on there. Just shout out like old episodes that you liked, anything about the new episodes. You can comment on any of them. We would really appreciate it. And if you do end up wanting to go a step further, just become a supporter. All you have to do is follow the link in the description in any of our episodes that we've published. And you can also go under the About section in our Spotify homepage.
You can do as little as 99 cents a month. Any amount that you guys support us is going to help us build a better podcast and help build better trickers around the world and all that. So let's get the video. go.
Okay.
So this is kind of like a progressional type of video. So basically what I'm starting out here is with a backside 10, and then it's kind of what we call, man, what do we call that? We call that rapid. So you come out and you do a 10 and you leave that leg chambered. So you're gonna
Okay.
go here. And so that was the 10. But then if you would keep that kick in as a chamber, then you can jump off the right foot and throw it as a round kick.
Oh, okay.
So
That
that's
makes
what I did. Yeah, that's what I did right before that. Oh wait, that was the same one. Oh wait, that's the same one again.
for
Yeah,
some
right there.
technology.
So yeah, so right here is like that and then that. So that's a rapid. It's just kind of trying to understand, like, if you're gonna throw a hook kick, so which is the 10, if you're gonna throw the hook kick, you're gonna lean to the right because your weight is gonna be on the right foot. If you're gonna throw a
Yeah.
round kick, you actually need to lean the other way, so leaning on your left foot. It's not, you can't just be completely vertical, but you also can't lean too early because if you initiate the lean too early, you just continue to lean. So
True.
you have to find that balance. That's what makes this trick very difficult. And that's why it's important to start with the 10. So that's what I'm doing there. Getting the 10 and raising up that leg, it helps you. It's kind of the mechanics of a fei long. So if
Yeah.
you're doing a tornado fei long, yes, you're throwing that kick and your weight is on your right foot. But if you properly drive that crescent kick, or as you would call it, shuriken, across, you can put the weight onto the incoming leg, which is kind of what I'm focusing on here. Doing a backside 12 shuriken or backside 12 fei long.
Wow. Okay.
Just a way for your brain to kind of like understand a little bit better. So that's what I'm running through, is just like different ways to attack it. There's a lot of different, and there we go. So that's a turbo to like over rotate. It's almost like a
Yeah. So
shuriken.
lean back and kind of force the action to happen.
Yeah, and that was a true shuriken attempt.
Okay.
So now this is you're gonna love this, Sean. So doing a skill into it so that you have a better idea of what direction your power is moving it. If you can do it out of a powerful setup, then it's a lot easier to see where things go wrong. If I made a mistake there, I would have gone flying in the wrong direction.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't, which means that. So if you're going to do a backflip with a twist, you'd need a good backflip, right? So
True.
say you do a layout. Okay, now you're not going to do a full, you're going to do a layout with a full twist. And this is the same concept here. I jumped up and did a front kick, no twisting. So that's my base skill. If I can do a jump and then not throw the front kick, do a turn and then kick. Now I did the base skill first. I twisted in the air separately from my set and then executed the skill. And that's kind of the goal here. You guys do lots of drills and gymnastics. And also, I'm sure you have crazy tips because you guys do vert twisting skills in gymnastics too, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, well, we do it during the flip. So, yes, a little bit different. But we do some things where we do twisting feet towards the ground, but usually for women's gymnastics, that's dance skills. For guys, we don't really do anything like that, but for women's, you do like they do like one of their more famous ones is like popa or like a switch leap full. So popa is really easy to describe. It's a jump full twist with a straddle. So you don't actually hold the straddle through the whole thing. It's kind of like you do a jump half turn, crowd awakener, and then you snap your legs back together and finish the other half.
That's actually exactly what a crowd awakener is. Like if you're going to do a pop crowd awakener, that's exactly how you.
Okay, so for you guys, it's just a crowd awakener. So it's a really simple like understanding of like how that works for us, and like you can add twists to that. You can do other things where you add twists to like do switch full. So to describe a switch, to describe a switch full, you kick up with usually your opposite leg from what's your good side to kick on. So you take off. You snap your legs together, do a half turn, kick out into a split, and then kick them back together to finish the other half.
That's crazy. I actually want to learn that skill just because it's pretty sweet looking.
It's so weird that the way that I've seen it, at least, if I remember correctly, you kick up on your opposite, so your not dominant side, which is really weird to me.
That is weird because my swing leg is my right leg, so I would swing my right, but it actually works because my dominant split side is my left side. So you're saying I would swing my right, I would turn around, split left leg forward, and then
split the right leg forward.
Even though it's the same leg you swing?
Yes. Because because you swing up with the right leg, and because you twist like if you're a lefty twister, when you snap your legs back together, now your left leg is coming behind you and your right leg is coming forward again.
So you do the split right on the swing.
No.
So
So
you,
that's where it's tricky.
oh
This
geez,
is, I know this is like nothing compared to like doing the skill, but it's really weird to understand.
I
So
want to know.
kick up like, so you kick up, this is my right leg, this is my
Yep.
left leg.
Okay.
Lift off the floor, legs come together and twist, and then you kick out into your split, and then you bring them back together and finish feet together facing the
So
direction.
you swing your right, you turn and still split with your right again.
Yes,
That sounds so counterintuitive. I
I know.
guess wow, I don't know how hips can do that. That's insane. That doesn't sound like it should be optimal. But okay, I'll give
So
that a try
like,
eventually.
so yeah, like we do have things that flip that do vertical. Mostly it's usually during flips. Like that's majority of gymnastics is like doing flips. So like we do have a few things that vert twist with feet towards ground. It's just not very often.
Right.
But
And what's really interesting about that is that there is leg integration. Like you're not just vert twisting with your feet pointed towards the floor because that's too chaotic. It's like there's
yeah,
not a lot of control in that. So the fact that you are throwing splits out and you're throwing legs out, it looks more impressive, but it actually gives you a better sense of control. Like because you
yeah,
are actively doing something. And that's what makes this so difficult. 2.5 twists in, you're not doing anything until the very last second.
yeah. And that's the thing. We
So
even have in women's code, I think, a jump double or jump 2.5 twist. And like knowing
oh,
gymnastics, that's just like standing, no flip, just jump, twist, land. Like it's a skill, but
it's actually fucked up. That's crazy. I
like
want to see that.
I know. So like thinking about it, it's like, okay, we do that. I mean, I do stuff like that to train learning to twist and like learning how to twist and get used to spinning so you don't get like dizzy.
And like
But
snapping it too, going like from here to like snap to out and like
yep.
you're looking around how to stick that. Dude, watching a gymnast do a 2.5 to a stick with perfection, that would be nice.
Oh, I know.
I'd love to see that.
It's so great. And like we have to really have that understanding of doing those twists and like being able to stay perfectly here. Cause like women's gymnastics, they do turns on their feet, which like it doesn't sound hard, but it surprisingly is hard.
Yeah, I know
Like
what you mean. Like where they do like the pirouette stuff. Well, yeah, I guess you'd call it
pirouettes
pirouette,
anyway.
right? Okay, whatever. But yeah, it's like
But
basically the one I think of is like where you do a double nine, but you don't leave the ground. You just
yes.
keep your leg out. Yeah, that's the one I always think
And like
of.
to me, I'm just like I would rather just jump and try to do that. Like I
Right,
can't
exactly.
balancing and staying like this.
Well, that's
And
why
that's
breakdancing is so hard because you're connected to the floor, so you can fuck things up so much more than you can in tricking. Like in tricking, it's like you're in the air, you just be patient. But in breakdancing, it's like do this, do this, do that. Like you constantly have to be adjusting things. It's crazy.
oh yeah, which is but like that's how I think I can relate to doing the BS12 because I can imagine like if somehow you can figure out how to do a turn on the floor where you're keeping your legs there and all of a sudden you just kind of pop up and like finish the kick after like a 2.5, like that would be a weird way to train it, but like hey, that's
Yeah, that would be legit. That would be legit. There's so many different ways. You just got to keep attacking it. So, yeah. So here, and I just go through the different ones. So there's a 9. So that's
yeah,
another
it
way
looks
that you
like,
can look at it.
and it looks like because you're doing it out of the flip, it shows that you have a little bit more control because you feel where you need to push for that set every time, and it's almost like on spot every time, and that means it shows that you have full control.
Right, and it's because of that base trick. Because I start with that base trick, I'm just copying the set. It's the same thing. Like if you can do a really high cork, then you should be able to do a double cork because you need to set the same. And the
yeah,
trouble is that people don't connect them. They do a double cork differently than they do a single cork. No, do them the same, just add a twist. You're
yeah,
doing a single cork with an extra twist, not a double cork. It's not a different skill.
no, right? I've tried to explain that to kids, and like they look at me like I'm absolutely nuts.
Wait, was
That
that the 12? Holy shit, that was nice.
yeah, that's why I was saying like I watched it because okay, so as you guys might not know, I scrubbed this through like right before we started recording because I was like I don't want to seem too much like an idiot, so I started watching. I was like, ooh, that was good. And this is I kind of said that like while we were just waiting, I was like, ooh, that was good, and I don't think he heard me because I watched it. I was like, wow, that was just really quick and clean. Like that's a way tighter twist than I normally see Chris do.
Woo! There, we got that pause. That's the goal right there.
Could you imagine getting that high on the floor?
Right. That's
Yes.
ridiculous. That would not happen. But that's why it's great to train on trampoline. And this is something that I know I need to do is I need to train on super tramp. If you can like because this is the thing. You know you have control of skills when you have this amount of fall time and then you actually still land. Because what happens is you have all this excess fall time and you time your feet to come to the floor instead of completing the skill all the way up here and just falling the remainder of the way. And here you can see how high I am in the air, and I do fall the remainder of the way. I completed my skill, all the excess energy is released, and I have control. I counteract my kick. You can see my arm being thrown in the opposite direction as my round kick. So that means that actually both my arms, because I'm psycho. I guess that's just how I do things. Yeah.
You do the fusion dance in the air.
Right. That's what I
With
was
an extra
thinking.
kick.
Fusion dance style, throwing my arms the opposite way of my kick because I got that all that energy. But yeah, that because of that balance out, I am able to just float down the rest of the way. But this is a lean, like there is a lean happening, but it happens at the very, very end. Yeah, so you can see here, that's not a 45, but there is just enough lean, and it allows me to raise my left knee, my non-kicking leg, into a proper pocket for that placement. So it's like I am planning on landing on my left leg from the get-go. I just need to make sure that my lean is, I need to be extremely vertical to start, but because I twist left, there's going to be a natural lean to the left, which is good because I'm landing on my left leg at the end. Yes.
You're kind of going into the skill instead of, you're letting your body do the movement and just like trusting it. That's the big thing. And like a lot of people usually fight back on that, and that would be hard with the BS12 because it's a lot of twists. I mean, 2.5 isn't just like something you usually sneeze at. I mean, you get to higher level, like, yeah, it is potentially something you kind of sneeze at a little bit. It's like,
it's still even rare among like the highest level people because it's hard to do creative combos with a backside 12. It's a power move that doesn't look like a power move. So when you do it, it's like, if you know your shit, you're like, whoa, BS12. But if you don't, you're like, okay, you kicked.
It's like, oh, we did a twist.
Like if you know that it needs respect, it's given respect, but most people don't know it does. This is a very difficult skill, and it deserves a lot of respect, and it gains it once other people try it. Once you've learned how difficult this is, you'll be like, fuck.
That's the thing I've learned tricking is like there's so many skills that look super simple and you throw them the first time you're like, oh, why is that?
This is different than I thought, for sure. So
when I tried double D leg.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's super hard. So standing requires power generation. This is made by allowing some flip, so my meaning behind this is you see a lot of people doing backside 12s that actually lean a lot, and like they're like almost double full rounds, or like they are double full rounds. I would say, yes, it's a different skill. I would say like if you're completely horizontal, it's a double cork round. And if you're slightly above horizontal, it's still a double cork round. I need at least a 45-degree angle to start counting it as a backside 12. And I would prefer something above a 45-degree angle.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because like the more your feet start to come up, the more that skill inherently changes. Like just like even in difficulty wise, I feel like it gets easier the higher it goes, especially because just adding that flip for some reason gives you more time and feeling for getting that twist.
Right. And the reason is because your left leg comes from above you. So if your left leg's coming from above you, you don't need a good chamber. And if you're at a higher than 45-degree angle, you actually need your chamber to be, your thigh needs to be perpendicular to the floor, and it needs to be turned out to have that round kick come out. But if you're coming out of a double cork, you don't need to pivot your foot, you don't need to open your hips, you don't need to have a chamber. You just can fall out of it. Yeah. So yes, it is a lot simpler to do double round. But if you're doing it standing, then adding some flip on purpose might help you generate power, because doing standing power, it's very difficult to get the proper leaning because there's not something that's going to give you the momentum. So like if you're doing an invergato into a backside 12, then you have directional power, which means that you know which way to lean because of the direction you're moving.
True.
Right. Yeah. So if you're doing it standing, now you have to create directional power so that you can go onto your left leg and continue the momentum, but you also have to create power to jump high enough, to chamber, and to spin 2.5 times, which is a lot.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. So here's my standing ones, which are like pretty standing. So that's like a 45-degree one. And then let's see what else I got here. Yeah. So now I'm trying to go completely vert, going from base.
Which is
also front kicking is going to help you stay vert a lot better.
That one was pretty good.
So yeah, the interesting thing about this is the over rotation.
Yeah, like you kick out super late.
Right, and that's because I do that on purpose, because it allows me to land with the momentum. If you're doing it standing,
Yeah.
it's a lot more difficult to get that directional momentum, which means the transfer from left to right foot is not going to necessarily be there. When I was first learning these, what kept happening is I would throw up my right foot for the kick, and then I would land on my left foot, and my left foot would get pulled out from under me. Not because I was kicking too high, but because there was no directional power. So I was like, I need to basically stick it on my left leg and then create new momentum for my right leg to come in. So instead, then you start to lean and you start to jump in a certain direction, or you add a hook kick or something.
I'll throw the kick a little bit later.
Right. And
I would still say it's a BS12, even if it's to that, like, how you were explaining stances before. Instead of being in like pure complete, like that like halfway point, it'll still allow you to get that carry through, and it's still more of a BS12, and you're going to land perfectly fine anyway, because it's
right.
not.
And what if you're going to swing it? What if you can do backside 12 swing or backside 12 pop flash? You need to land it incomplete. So that it definitely still exists, but it's also great compensation for like if you're lacking directional power.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's like, God, I could not imagine just swinging a BS12 and like.
I've done it.
Out of it.
I did backside 12 swing cork. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I really want to do it to double cork. That'd be the greatest dub. But Keenan Carr's done sheet 12 swing dub. I think he's still the only one. Maybe someone else has by now. But
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Imagining doing that off of a swing, like a cheat step.
I know. Fucked.
I could not imagine. Like, I don't know what he was doing. Did he just like run into it? He was just like, cheat step.
He did. He's like kind of like a more technical tricker. Like he's powerful, but he's not a power tricker. Not to say that he can't do power moves, just to say that the way he executes them is very skillful. And he's like kind of like a skinnier guy. So when he's taken off, it's very like proper momentum, K-step style, very tight twist, good kick. Like he's a martial arts dude. So like his kicks are nice, and it looked great when he did it. So yeah, look that up. But back to the topic on that.
Yes, sorry.
I love our little tangents. So that is one that I was doing an example of a double round is what I call it.
Yes, because that started coming up too high.
So it's a very on the edge. Like you could debate with me, but at the same time, it's like it feels like the kick comes from above. And I couldn't kick a target in front of me. Like if you were holding a target in front of me pointed at me, I would have definitely kicked over it. And that's kind of my, like this is a sport where it's supposed to be, you're executing it for the aesthetics. And if you're trying to get a certain aesthetic across, like why are we allowing like this gray area? So
that's true.
That's all I'm saying. It's like this is specifically for aesthetics. So don't tell me that like it's okay to do a move that's not aesthetic. I don't know. It's just funny.
Snap.
Okay, so it looks like we've got some BS12s that landed complete. Let's cross-train it and compare knowledge. So yeah, we're gonna look at some of these and see what we see differences in. So that's definitely a double 4 round.
Yeah, because that literally just went over your head to start with the hip lift instead of actually staying here with the hip lift. It traveled up completely.
Great. So tell me what I did wrong here.
It looked like personally, this is a me thing. But when you started to twist and then you started to lift the leg, you also started to crunch in, which is never a good thing because that's just going to cause problems.
Right. I do that because when I'm on the floor, I'm allowed to crunch in and re-extend because I'm basically using my back as an extra limb to throw, which is super bad. But I'm on trampoline, which means my technique is being magnified, which is giving me problems. I also can't lean properly because by stepping into the tramp with a single leg, the trampoline sinks in. So my lean is also being magnified and I'm not leaning properly. So if this was a backside 12, what would you say to fix? What would you say that's wrong here?
Do it again. I'd wait to chamber.
Yes, exactly. Because I'm chambering too early, I'm leaning super early. And then I try to compensate because I'm going to land on my side. And then when I try to compensate, now I'm too vertical and I can't get my kick out. It's like a lot of like overcorrecting happening.
Yes, because you wanted that kick to come out on time. And potentially if it was coming out super late and you wanted it to come out more on time, you're like, okay, well, if I chamber earlier, then I'll get the kick out earlier. But then if you do it too early, it's going to cause issues. And then you're like, okay, well, I overcorrected.
Right. That's
Wow.
exactly it. And if when you do it on the floor, when I do it on the floor, I'm allowed to like use the chamber as a swing, and I can really pump it up, and then I can extend my feet downwards and then re-chamber again at the end for the 12. But this just does not work very well on trampoline. I'm not getting good lift. There's not super great transfer. But this, I just wanted to use that because I wanted to magnify the problems that are created. And it's not the trampoline's fault. It is like a mechanical issue. I've
Yeah,
landed Cheat 12 on this trampoline before. It was just like mechanically, these are the
it
struggles,
wasn't
and
gonna happen.
it was cool to relate to backside 12. So
Okay.
see what else we got going on. Awesome. Okay. So now we get to do some more variations that are going to be basics that lead up to a backside 12.
Yeah, because that had some pretty major lift in understanding that drive time for the chamber.
Yeah, pop quiz. Do you know what this move is called?
540. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a backside 9 hyper, which is like a cheat 9 hyper, which is one twist more than a 540. Yeah.
Okay. So I was wrong, but that's
Well,
okay.
you could use, some people use 540 as like noobs use 540 as a like a variation. So you could do like it's a backside 9 540, but it's really backside 9 hyper, but they use it
Okay.
as
Because I would have just
so
seen it as it is a 540 coming out of a cheat step.
exactly. And it looks like it because it's pop. So it actually like the twist is very quick. It's like not
Yeah.
really a twist. So then the cool thing about this, so the reason this is relevant is because you can do a backside 9 double. So that is a version of a backside 12 because it's this move plus a late 9, right?
Okay.
So imagine if I threw a kick here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I did a late 9, that's a version of backside 12. So that's kind of what I'm getting into is if you can figure out what some backside 9 variations are that lead up to backside 12, that means that you get to approach, and that's actually what I'm doing here, I guess. So that means you get to approach the backside 12 with,
Yeah.
wow, I'm
See.
good as fuck. So you get to
Yeah. Good as
approach the
fuck.
backside 12 with a different mentality, and it gives you more spot points because you don't want to just be blindly throwing this twist over and over until you start landing a couple. Yes, that is a way to progress towards it, but that's not the only way. Like that's not the only path you want to take. You want to, just like we constantly say, like, yes, your cork will be good if you know cheat 9, but guess what? Your cork's also going to be good if you can round off full and if you can cheat 9 and B twist. Like there's going to be more skills that are similar to it. Then that means that you can, learn from it and actually have more tools in the toolbox to attack it with. So now we're going with that Fei Long.
Ooh, yeah, I was about to say that's a really okay. So then you're working on the correct timing for the chamber, and then when to bring that leg up. And that one you didn't chamber at all.
Right. We'll go back
So,
and look at that. Oh, wow. That was a
yeah.
backside 1680 or something. 3.5 twists. It's okay.
Okay.
Also, I just want to say that I did this 4 months ago with an injured hip abductor.
Imagine what you could do now.
Yeah, I know. Dude, my hip is finally better. Hell yeah. Okay, so let's look at the one I fell again. Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah. So because there was no chamber, so keep on it just a little bit. There it is. So part of me says that because that chamber didn't come up, there was nothing actually carrying you over to finish it. So you almost are pausing when you're doing that kick. So instead, you have to almost land like you're landing a 540 kick, or you're pretty much just not going to land. Like there's nothing.
You are, yes, 100% that because like this foot is in perfect 540 kick position. All the energy is engaged into my kicking leg, and I never chambered, which means that there's nothing that's going to posture down. And I'm completely like my core is not engaged whatsoever. Like this is like I could be doing a backdrop right now in this position. Like it kind of looks like it.
Yeah, because it looks like if I was doing that on floor and this kind of thing happened, I would try to just roll it over to my side and just take it.
Right.
Like I would finish the kick and just pull it in.
Yeah, you just have to because there's no chamber. And you can even see on the set here, I would say that I'm leaning too much and that my directional power, because this is from standing. So my directional power is actually behind me instead of in the direction I'm moving. It's not going towards, like if I was going to do this backside 12 to a vanish 9, my power would not be going in the same direction. I would have to vanish 9 backwards and I'm going to have to over rotate this. So that's the directional power you can see in the set there. A lot of my chest is moving backwards instead of towards the direction I'm going.
That's true. Wow, yeah, because you can see that definitely like right as that.
Yeah, see,
Right as
that's
it
why
comes
I'm leaning that
out of
way.
that
I
chamber.
should be leaning the way I'm going, not backwards.
Yeah, because your
And
shoulder should be staying up more, and that chamber should be helping it carry over and be able to crunch in more. And it's just like,
exactly. Yeah, so hopefully like that example gives some people some stuff to base off of. And I promise I did not put this backside 16 in here just to flex. The reason
wait,
is no. The reason is because if I'm training single cork or if I'm training a double cork, for example, let's say a double cork. So if I'm training double cork, how do I make my double cork really good? I don't look at the best corks. I don't look at the best double corks. I look at the best triple corks. I said, okay, so double cork is easy because it doesn't require 100% efficiency. But what are the main things I can see in a triple cork? Okay, it's this leg lift, it's this block, it's this tight twist, it's the way they posture up at the end throughout the trick, not just during the twisting. It's the whole thing. Okay. So if I
yeah.
can apply that to a double cork, it should be extremely easy. So that's kind of the point of putting this in here. If I can do a backside 16, what is it that I'm doing in here that is allowing that so that when you do your backside 12s, it's just like, oh, this is the most important piece. So I don't know the answer yet. So let's look at it.
Well, your twist is way better. Although you cross your legs, like I think it for efficiency's sake, it's almost not a bad thing, which is weird to say because I feel like it's easier just to release and then pull the chamber.
Yes, I think I need to squeeze my knees because when your knees are squeezed, then you can, regardless of which way you cross your feet, you can still, by raising your knee and pointing your toe, you can still pull your knee out. Like you're not going to cross your ankles up by doing this in vert twisting. In flips, it's way more common to happen, but when you're vert twisting, crossed feet is actually the proper way to do it, coming from like Taekwondo or karate background.
Vert twisting without your feet going over your head.
Yes.
I will die on that hill.
What are you talking about?
I will die on that hill. Vert twisting, if you're not going over your head, then I don't care if you cross your feet, but don't do it going over your head.
Yes, okay. I disagree, but that's because like variations are involved. So it's
Yes,
like
I know.
it's a good yeah. But for vert twisting, yes, I think crossing your feet is actually very, very good.
yes, but you
Because
can
like
see
you have you tried to vert twist with your feet like side by side, not crossed? It's like you lose so much structure, and also it's like you're flexing the inside and outside of your quads, and then it means there's like constant adjustments going on. So like leaning happens a lot frequently.
yeah, but you're also not allowed to do that in gymnastics, so you kind of have to learn.
Yeah, and I guess you could squeeze your feet together without crossing them. I don't know.
Yes, so that's the way we do.
But hip abductors.
Yes,
It
but like
takes
I said,
so much muscle to squeeze together instead of pull apart with a lock. I
just
don't
get
know.
swole. It's
Yeah.
fine. We were strong.
Jacked inner thighs. I need to do more good girls.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me tell you, I wasn't called from
Wait,
the first
it
group.
wasn't a sexual joke. That good girls are those. Wait,
I
I
know
just had to say it because it was sounded really weird. Just like okay, so you know the thing where you put your knees on the pads and you squeeze your knees together and you have it connected to a
we call
weight
them
cable.
clamshells.
That's called a good. That's called a good girl. And if you have the pads on the outside and you have your knees together and you pull out against a weighted cable, that's called a bad girl. That's what they're called.
Okay.
Okay. So
That's
back to backside 16. So
yes. So you can see here though during your backside 16, you actually lean a lot more because you kind of have to get that twist to finish.
right.
Okay.
There is like some sort of like power
Twist motion.
interval that like plays with each other between flip and twist. And like if you are gonna twist more, there just inherently needs to be a little bit more flip.
Yeah,
Just,
like if you could get backside 16 like this, you're like a god.
yeah. And there is this guy, like you can train vert twisting to that point. And like, yeah, Michael Mantis is okay. I don't like the way he kicks. I don't like the way he chambers, but his vert twisting is like, it's very, very vert. It's ridiculously vert. There's no lean, there's no crossed ankles. It's like perfectly vertical. Another really good example is Sam Lincoln, very, very vertical twisting. Especially out of cheat kicks. It's crazy. And then there's one other guy that I cannot remember his name.
His arms are, I don't know. I think I'm thinking of the same person, or it's Kizzard.
Yeah, it's Kizzard. That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Sam
he
Lincoln.
has his leg. His legs are like almost like bow-legged when he does it though, and it's like the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
That's because he's Asian. I don't think you can say that.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no,
kidding.
no.
I'm just kidding.
It's just when he does his like the vert twists into kick, like it looks like he's posturing up really big, elbows out, knees out, and like somehow doing it. And, like it doesn't make sense to me. Like
Right.
how,
It's funny. So I've talked to him about it, and he says that he loves to do Peter Pan because it allows him to do nothing. So like he's done Peter Pan cheat 14. Yeah, which is a cheat 12 hyper hook. Doesn't make sense. But he's done
just
it Peter Pan style, and he said it was almost easier Peter Pan style because it helps him contain good posture. It flexes his abs. His arms have something to do instead of be out there compensating. It's like they're here, and it's
that's
everything
crazy.
just has to be good. Then it is. So makes sense. And then there's this other guy. He's like a circus guy, but he does really good tricks. And his name is like Nico or something. I he's like one of my favorite trickers, and he like disappeared, and I can't find him again. But super good backside 12s. That's who I based mine off of. Completely vertical, super nice chamber, really good kick. Even when he kicks, his hips turn over, but he keeps his straight posture up. So like his chest is pointed directly up and his hips are tilted. It's crazy looking.
That's
Super nice. Yeah, and mine do not look that good, but I was like, no, if I can base it off of his, it's gonna be close.
if I can have that mental image in my head.
Right. Then I can aspire. So as you can see in this example, in that previous one that I fell on, now based on that, you can tell that my directional power is in the right direction because you
Yeah.
can see my feet are like they're balancing out my weight. Before they were side to side, and now they're
Yeah.
back to back. And you can see I'm looking the direction I'm moving for
True.
the set, which is going to help me lean that way. My arms are open; they go into a tight twist. Wow, that was a
And that
lot.
chamber comes up right when you would want it to.
And you can see right there, I'm doing my very best to keep my chest up in a posture position. Having that knee come up is going to fight my vertical posture, but that's okay because I'm actually not going to put it down. I'm going to make it go over this arc like a shuriken.
Yeah.
I think the higher level twist you do, the more that's going to happen. And that's why people do backside 12s on that double full axis because it is easier and they're compensating, they're maxing out their twist. And when you go to floor, yes, that does tend to happen that you're maxing it out. But I think that backside 12 is so simple in a to like, in a hypocritical way to say, because it is so simple. It's just that it's so simple that makes it difficult. So you can
Yeah.
it's so simple that even though it's not optimal to stay completely vertical, you can still pull it off. And I think it's worth that. And so I make mine extremely vertical. I think it's worth that struggle to make them
True.
look pretty. So yeah. Anything else you want to add to that you can
No, actually, it was just really good. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, and I landed that in complete. You see, we had paused it previously. I landed that in complete. There you go. Because I tilted. So
Yes,
because of the tilt, I actually had to land that in complete. So that's another point to take away. But yeah, I mean, that's backside 12.
backside 12s. Everybody should do them. No one should
Everyone
be
should
doing them.
literally do them. Like I'm tired of having such high level twisting skills in flips and not in vert. Yeah,
It's harder. It's just harder.
it's just harder, and it's like it feels less. Like it feels less like succeeding. It's like, oh
Just
great.
being stupid.
Like the
I
moguls want
get
to see the G switches and the twisting flips, not the vertical twists. And like,
no.
what's a kick? Who cares? Like they're like, you won't use that in a real fight. Like, okay, man.
Yeah, great, but like you also won't just like use a cork in a real fight. So shut the fuck up.
Hey, watch me.
This is like claim to fame.
Don't destroy my dreams. Okay, well, if that's everything, yeah, just quick recap. All I want to say is make sure you use the backside 9 variations to help attack the backside 12 so that you have some level of engagement to help you stay vertical during the backside 12 so that it becomes default to stay vertical in a backside 12.
Yes,
It's spotting is your best friend, and chambering is also your best friend. Using a setup is going to help you, especially if you're on the floor, but learning it standing is definitely doable, and it is worth playing back and forth because you will learn something from both. Always have the biggest base that you can before trying to build up into a trick.
true. All right. Yeah, with that, that's actually a really good way to wrap that up. So I guess I'm gonna keep rambling, and we're gonna see you guys next time.
Don't forget to follow us on the_flip_side_podcast on Instagram.
And CHRISPY_TRIX. That's chrispy-trix on Instagram. And I also have another YouTube channel, TrixFix, TRIX space FIX, for more tutorials and other things.
And we'll see you guys next time.